What's up, spiritual gangsters? This your OGs, Treese.
And rain.
Welcome to another episode of Trybe Vibes.
So, let's get into it.
What else about vices you wanted to talk about?
Well, we spoke on why they develop, the root causes in, the extreme versus addiction. But I think overall would be nice to hear is some advice on overcoming them. How do we get back in control of that balance in our lives?
So, one time I got really high.
Naturally, okay. I like where this is going.
About marijuana, weed.
Mary Jane.
It was actually a cookie. I ate a cookie. Mm-hmm. And then I just went out and just walked around.
Okay, that's dangerous. Who's with you?
No, I had the day off, so I'm like, okay. Let me eat a cookie and walk around and I was with my dog. I was headed to the dog park.
High is not a.
And then lots of times when I smoke weed, I get these epiphanies and whatnot. So, and I like to write them down because I will forget them later.
That's because you're high, right?
Right, because I was high. Sometimes we need to make a podcast about that too, because sometimes you get high and you learn the secrets of the world, and then when you get high, you just forget them. Back to normal life.
Oh gosh.
I got high and found out the key to life.
I know the answer, guys. What is it? Oh God. Let me roll this. Give me 5 minutes. I'll have it again.
So that's why I write it down now. Any type of things that inspire me or whatnot. So I was going through what I'm going through now about vices and whatnot. I had pretty recently. And this is what I came up with trying to overcome it, with reflecting about myself. I said, before doing anything, I have to ask myself, what is the rational thing to do right now? Mm. And if I don't know what the rational thing to do, I proceed and say, then what do I want to do right now? Right? What is my desire? What am I looking to do? Mm-hmm. And then I ask myself the follow-up question, what do I need to do right now?
Okay. These are really deep. I'm just picturing you wandering in the city high talking about, what do I want?
I know, it sounds really high. But
no, because you're walking around with tie and you don't know where to go. That's insane. But no, these questions are,
because you're
they help
taking
you
yourself
to identify what's really happening, and not
right. And you're actively taking yourself off of autopilot. It's not uncomfortable to just ask those questions.
Right.
It's easy to ask those questions. And the more you ask those questions, the more you'll put yourself in a habit of actually finding out why you're feeling the way you're feeling, what you feel like you want to run and do, and then what rationally do you need to do right now that will really nurture your spirit, and what are the consequences of the things that you want to do. And just have it doesn't have to be long. It could be a minute. It can be longer if it merits, but just a minute of self-reflection before you make a decision that can affect the rest of your life or the rest of your day or your hour, and at least with those lines of questioning, if you continue to, say if you just, you questioned yourself, whatever, you're still going to go do that vice. At least you're acknowledging yourself and you're acknowledging your feelings. That's really kind of the first step, and I feel the more you talk to yourself and the more you kind of unwrap the feelings and the nature behind the decisions you make, the easier it would be to pick a life that you truly want to live. Because if you want to live your life in vices, that's your business. But at least know the decisions you're making.
Be self-aware. Yeah.
Be self-aware. I'm not saying, never drink, never this, never that. But what I am saying is just know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And what are your plans? What are your goals? What is your vision? And does the life you're living right now align with your goals? And then I went on to write at the end. I wrote when I was high, realize that this is your story. You are in control. Actively choose who you are. My body will do whatever my mind tells it. Use that power and own it.
I like that. I like that. But what were you were saying before basically is to separate the action from the intention, right? And getting to the root of what it is.
Yeah, like in a way, yeah, exactly. Like you're separating your feelings from yourself.
Right. To look
You're
at the
treating your feelings as you're treating your feelings as visitors that are making you realize things,
right,
but not controlling your actions. You're kind of stopping them from doing that,
staying
stopping
in that
them
state
from being a part of you, and instead treating them as you should, as visitors, things and emotions that are coming because of stimulus or responses, and really trying to figure out, what do I really need to do right now? And what do I want to do right now? And what is the rational thing to do out of those two?
Yeah. So you're like you said, separating the emotion from the. That's always a good idea when you take the emotion out of things, use it as an indicator, because, like we said, it just that ends in destruction when you have that as your fuel.
I only
But
say
I
that
think
because my emotions usually trigger my vices. That's the only reason why I say that. I know there's different things that people can
that's how
use.
it's just say like, look, let me pour me something because this is fucking ridiculous.
Wait,
But
what?
being that, no, I said I agree, because when you have a rough day, you're like, pour me something.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I'm about to turn up.
But in that situation, it's like after we identify, okay, this is why I feel this way. I think like a next step into, overcoming or, getting rid of your vice would be like is behavior replacement. You're like changing the negative activity with something that's positive. Like you suggested before, meditation, or even a few seconds breath, or instead of, I don't know, instead of taking a drink, people clean when they're upset. It's like, okay, maybe let me just do some laundry or something real quick to keep my hands busy, because it's like I used to binge watch addiction documentary, that docu-series, or every intervention. There you go. And I would see a lot of people, they were, even after they expressed the need to stop engaging or indulging in whatever drug that they were in, they were like, it's just, it's a habit for me. When I feel this way, I just go and I do that. Like people who shoot up heroin, there's a process into, when you have the actual drug, and there's different steps you have to take, and how to cook it, heat it, and melt it, and whatever.
Yeah,
you inject it and get high. I used to watch. They would show it.
I'm joking.
And I'm not on the heroin. But there's people who, they would change out. No, they would say that they were addicted to the ritual of it. They had to. It's something that their hands knew was familiar. It's like it triggers their brain. It's like, when I'm doing this, I know soon I will feel better. So it's the ritual that they were addicted to, because it's that it builds up that anticipation in them into knowing that it's happened. And even people who are addicted to food, like I've seen like brain studies and scans of people who are obese versus not, where they would get their dopamine levels would be higher before they actually eat the food, rather than people who, are happy after they eat, because it's like the act of eating makes them happy. But once, that food is gone, then that feeling is fleeting. So it's the act and the behavior that was like, once you change that out with something positive, like let me take a walk, let me meditate, or let me do this, let me light a candle or whatever, then, I think that's definitely a step forward into getting rid of whatever activity or, behavior that you're trying to.
I like that, because even if it doesn't cure the root problem of like your feelings or your obsessiveness or, whatever vice that you have, it at least replaces your unhealthy habit with a healthy one. And in the meantime, you can work your shit out with yourself. But at least you know you're not damaging yourself while working your shit out. No, it's like a safe place. And then I've heard of this thing called like habit pairing or whatever it's called, where like let's say your vice is you don't like going to the gym, right? You know, because it's unhealthy not to go to the gym. What they say is only do something you like to do and make it conditioned to the gym. For instance, say you like your guilty pleasure is watching like Love and Hip Hop or like, you know, the Jersey Shore, whatever show that is just wasting your brain cells away, but you know, you are addicted to watching it. You say to yourself, you will only watch that show when you're in the gym.
That's a great idea. Let me write that shit down.
Or like if there's a book you like or there's something that you like. It's called habit pairing or something like that. So you can only watch that episode when you're on the treadmill at the gym. And you can only do this when you're at the gym and that when you're at the gym. And then eventually the gym becomes a habit and something that you just end up doing. So you're balancing yourself out. Yeah, watching these trash TV shows could be a vice to somebody, but you're pairing it with something healthy and you're doing that, you know, so that brings you to the gym and then you stay at the gym and then, you know, you're kind of overcoming in a way.
Try that today with How to Get Away with Murder. I will keep you posted on how that goes.
Oh, you watch How to Get Away with Murder? I watch that too.
Oh, that's my sugar. We gotta talk about this. There's another podcast.
Yeah, we need to talk about that too. But yeah, so I think habit pairing is important.
That's brilliant, and it's the ritual. That's not the ritual, but I guess the behavior, the anticipation, because it's like whatever anticipation you have for the show would be attached to the gym. So now you're wanting to go to the gym.
Exactly.
That replaces behavior. Oh, oh God, what the fuck is that scientist's name? Fuck, it's the one with the dogs and the bell.
The dogs and the what?
The bell. God give it. Okay, so the scientist has his
Are you
dog.
talking about the dog whisperer?
Damn bitch. It's an experiment. No, it's an experiment. I didn't know he was a scientist. No. It was a behavioral psychologist who did an experiment, or psychiatrist, whatever. He had this dog, and he would ring a bell before he'd feed it. Shut up! There's a point. There's a point.
I'm just picturing like the dog whisperer as like a scientist ringing a bell.
You have that stuck in your head now, no matter what I say. You're just gonna think of whatever his name is. Okay, fine. Pretend it's him. He'd ring a bell and then feed the dog. And he did that for like a couple of weeks or whatever, a couple of days. And to the point where he'd ring the bell and then the dog would start salivating because he knew food is next.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that anticipation was my point. Where it's like you replace that. So now the gym is the bell. And so when you go to the gym, you feel better. That was a long-winded version of that.
But it does bring excitement to activities that, you know, you want to do and that is good for you, but you just don't have the desire to do it.
Yeah, that's my point. You found it.
Yeah. So I did like that when I discovered that method. That method is really helpful.
Okay, gotta try that. Any other tips or advice about overcoming?
I don't know. That's all I got. You guys need to help me out with this.
We're removing the temptation.
How do you do that?
According to CostaRicanNews.com, do not let your mind feed on things that cause a bad habit, but gradually transform your thinking and slowly approach you to the bad habit. As soon as you see something that associates with vice, it is better that you immediately abandon that activity and do something else. We just talked about that. All right. There's nothing new.
Well, I don't get it.
It's basically remove the temptation, and that's what you're saying with replacement activities. How to counteract the feeling of emptiness that remains when leaving a vice.
I still don't get it.
Want me to read it again?
No.
Okay.
It sounds like something that like sounds nice, but like doesn't really tell me.
It's literally what you just said. When you see something, okay, you're removing the. All right. So boom. Example. You are trying to stop smoking cigarettes. That's not your actual life. This is an example.
Right.
You're trying to stop smoking cigarettes. Every day you usually take a smoke break at 2:00 outside. The same three motherfuckers outside, y'all all smoke together.
We're in danger together, though.
There you go, as a group.
Opposed to alone.
There you go. So you trying to stop smoking, so you stop smoking, but these your motherfuckers, these your niggas, right? So you go outside with them. Yeah, I'm gonna crack out 15 minutes, but I don't have to be inside and working. Of course I'll go outside with you. And it's easier to start smoking again because you're around that same activity and you have that same pattern. But if you're like, instead of going outside with these motherfuckers who I know who are going to smoke at 2:00, I'm going to go in 15 minutes, go to the break room and meditate. You are removing yourself from the temptation.
I'm just trying to think of how many people actually do that.
I've done that before.
No, I mean people, instead of smoking a cigarette, going to the break room and meditating.
Oh.
In front of everybody.
I guess people thought I was sleeping, but I was meditating.
I haven't mastered that art. Like, I'm like in the chair with like my legs crossed.
Oh, that's not all that. You just sit.
Oh, my fault. I'm thinking somebody like legit meditating. Like, I'm gonna sit.
Oh, not on the floor. In the bed. She can't be doing all of that.
That's fine. But okay, I get what you're saying now. You're removing yourself from the situation.
Yes.
But you know what? That goes to show too. Sometimes when you want to do better for yourself, you can't always keep the same company. And I know that's hard for people, but you know, I know those are your homies. You still want to chill with them. But if they're still doing activities that you don't agree with or are unhealthy for you, I don't know. To me, the only healthy thing is to just move on and get, you know, friends that can support, you know, you living a healthier life. Now, if they still have their vices, but they support you, like, that's cool. But sometimes
you gotta remove yourself from the situation.
You have to know yourself. Like, some people can handle being around people doing bad and not do it, but most people can't. Like, I know I'm not going to hang around people that are doing unhealthy things that I don't want to do. You know, even if they are my friends, maybe I don't need to see them every weekend. Maybe I need to just see them once a month or once every few months. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of people experience a lot of like trauma with, you know, finding new company or breaking up with old friends or seeing friends a little less because, you know, it's disheartening. You are changing, you know, your friendships and your connections you have with people, but you always have to put yourself first.
Not everybody can come with you to the new version of yourself. Not everybody's invited.
And you got to be comfortable with just being alone.
Whew. But then there's another podcast about being too comfortable.
Yeah. True. Sometimes you just want to be comfortable with being by yourself and developing yourself and putting yourself first. I think that's also important to overcoming your vices.
Peace. I think that's like the underlining issue here is when you have a lack of peace, your absence of that stillness and that connection with oneself or something higher than yourself, then you will seek outside, you know, indulgences. You'd seek things outside of yourself in order to satiate that. Like, you are stressed and you don't know how to calm yourself in that moment, so you'll look for a cigarette, or you look for a drink, or you look for something to calm you. If you're, if you're sad or something like that, you'll look for something to lift your spirits. So you'll look for a party, or you'll look for likes on social media in order to feel better, because you don't have that peace.
I think we live in a society where people rather feel numb than awakened.
Oh, say that again for the people in the back.
Say it loud for the bitches in the back.
That's so true.
We live in a society where people rather feel numb than feel awakened. And I think that's the whole issue with having vices too. We're looking for things to, because awakeness, like being awakened, is a longer journey. Like it's a longer journey to be okay with yourself, to deal with your past traumas, to develop yourself inward as a person, to be strong, to love yourself, to be connected with, your spirituality. It takes a lot of fucking work, man. And it takes consistent daily work to do that shit.
Yep.
And we live in a society of instant gratification, so it doesn't seem desirable to do all that fucking work. I'd rather just feel numb, because sometimes that numbness makes us feel closer to,
Misery loves company. So it's like I said, it's like a hedonistic mentality in society where it's like, this causes me pleasure, this makes me happy, I'm gonna do it. I don't care what the ramifications are, because I'd rather not feel than to feel everything.
It's primitive thinking, and I think the whole thing about consciousness and if you're trying to elevate yourself spiritually, I feel like that's something you have to get out of, the whole pleasure trap, the whole thinking so primitively, like, oh, I want to feel good, only feel good, or whatever gives me pleasure, and we need to just open up our minds and, really think about the decisions that we do on a daily basis,
Life is never going to be all ups. You need the downs for balance, and you have to experience that and learn from them and treasure the downs, honestly, because it makes you value and appreciate the ups. It makes you, learn and grow so that your ups are even uppier.
Up. No, that's true. That's some deep shit.
Your ups are uppier. Socrates.
It's true, because you got a lot of people walking around here numb to what's going on in the world, numb to their own personal circumstances, numb to everything, because it feels better to be numb,
mm-hmm.
And to turn a blind eye to a lot of things going on instead of really just feeling everything and making decisions. Because the older you get, your decisions get harder and harder. I thought this shit would get easier.
Girl, don't you miss not paying bills?
Yeah.
And
what?
Your biggest concern was, who am I going to sit with at lunch? Like,
I had a different, simpler concern at that age.
I was well known.
And it involved after school, but that's a whole nother different topic.
No, he was a heathen.
But yeah, life used to be so much simpler. Like, especially as a teenager, I had my own car. I was making money at my job. School wasn't nothing because, I always did well in school, so it was easy. Yeah. Senior year, I only had 3 classes.
What?
Yeah, because I could have graduated early. I could have graduated probably like 3 years early, but I just decided to continue to take courses for no reason.
The fucking Georgia school system fucked me up.
But yeah, so like my point is, it was easier. I think like the teenage years is more like not knowing like what vices are and develop, like the beginning of developing bad habits. Like you're just trying to have fun, you're just trying to do this, you're just trying to.
Still a child. You have that childlike mentality.
That's true.
Where we have that instant gratification. I want this because it's shiny.
But the reason why I bring it up, it provides the framework of your adulthood, because a lot of the vices that I developed in those years, I'm just now conscious about it now. Like, damn, like I do this and I do that and I'm this person. Like it was the start of creating me as I am now. And I guess that's how we gotta have to look at our lives, because as a teenager and even in college, I was still built on instant gratification with everything and just doing whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it, whatever made me feel good at the time. And right now I'm living in those consequences and I'm just realizing it. So imagine if I invest another 10 years in actively investing in myself. How am I going to feel 10 years from now? What is my foundation going to look like? You know, what type of opportunities are going to be available to me, you know, because I'm healthier, you know, and I'm genuinely happier, you know. So that's why I look back on those years, because it's all about, you know, the foundation you're building for yourself. And you don't really see your effects for a while, you know, the true effects of like who you're becoming. You know, sometimes you just wake up and you're like, fuck, I'm a fucking asshole. Or like, fuck, like, I'm in this situation, or like, fuck, like, how did I get here? Because you were in autopilot for so long.
That is book from the page of my life. What? Backwards, you know what I mean?
Right.
Page from the book of my life. Because I definitely had those. But it just to build on what you're saying, or what you were saying about childhood, it's like, you know, you have the building, like of a house, you have the building blocks, the foundation of the house. It's your environment. It's what your parents taught you. It's, you know, stuff that you're exposed to in your initial reactionary like behavior. And then when you get older, hopefully those of us who are, you know, wise enough would look at the house and like, hey, that's a little crooked. Let me start from scratch, because that's fucked up. I need to change this about myself. And then you have to rebuild that house. But, you know, it's stronger, man.
And it's hard.
God, yes. But that whole woke thing or enlightenment, it's not just like a wake up, sudden, you know, epiphany, and then boom, you're meditating on a mountaintop.
That's how you can look on Instagram, though.
Fuck no. When you realize certain things, like when you are woke and you look at things through the bigger picture, you realize how fucked it is. So then you have to start piece by fucking piece and tearing down shit in order to rebuild it. And that's like, it's the hardest work you will ever do in making yourself better, but it is the most rewarding and satisfying and long-lasting thing. You know what I mean?
That's real shit.
From a real nigga.
Real fucking shit. You know, and I think also the last thing I really want to touch on is, I keep saying, oh, this is hard and this. Those are our initial feelings, you know, at least my initial feelings, you know, about the situation. And they're very negative feelings, honestly. And sometimes I think we have to stop ourselves. And like I was trying to say before, just talk to ourselves more positively about the situation, because we become our own negative thoughts. And you should talk to yourself like how you talk to your friends. Like, if your friend is coming to you and is like, oh, I did this, I feel like a horrible person, you're going to be like, no, you're not a bad person. You're just this and this and that. Like, we give other people better advice than we give ourselves, and we talk about it.
True.
You know, so taking a step back and being like, oh, I got to build my life all over. I'm a horrible person. I need to just tear my insides out and rebuild myself back up. How the hell am I going to do this? Like, you know,
I didn't come across as that.
What's your friend tell you?
Everybody's horrible.
Girl, my friends would be like, listen, like, you are not that bad of a person. You know, you're realizing things about yourself you want to change. Just day by day, just change. Day by day, you know, you can make one decision, you know, a day. You don't have to do it all overnight. You didn't create this life overnight. just take a deep breath and enjoy the process. Enjoy the process of being a better person. Enjoy the process of rediscovering things about yourself you never knew and rising to the occasion, challenging these unhealthy behaviors and challenging your feelings and conquering them and realizing that they're visitors and that they're coming and they're going to a point where you're like, hello anger, hello stress. I know you here. We about to deal with this depression. We're gonna deal with this stress. We're gonna deal with this sadness, and you're gonna go away after. That's what's gonna happen. You know,
it's everything has its season. It's all cyclical. So yeah, when it's here, it feels like insane. You know, there's the presence of whatever, you know, emotion or situation is. And then it goes away, and then you're up again, and then it comes down. I think it's like just realizing that.
Right. And growing. And
self-awareness, yeah.
And growing, like when, I feel like the only real way to grow is like when we feel these feelings or we deal with these vices and we conquer them, you know, it puts you on a greater level and you can continue to go up and up and up and become a better person and actually enjoy your life and where you're at and who you are. I think that's the whole thing. Like we forget that healthy things can be enjoyable. The whole reason why certain habits are healthy is because they make a better life for ourselves. And unhealthy things, if they don't bite you now, they will bite you later, despite any instant happiness you get from it. And that is the whole point. You know, and I think we forget about the point. The point is we want to live healthy lives so we can live happy lives. You know, I don't know when the notion started that living an unhealthy instant gratification life has anything to do with happiness. I think we're very confused with that. So we need to change the way we talk about things in ourselves.
Honestly, but that notion in society, I think, is deep rooted. That's been around for ever.
Yeah.
Because if you could think of any era, any decade where, I mean, whatever information we have of it now, it's you know, basically the appearances. It's like social media before social media, where it's like they have the advertisements, of how to be better, like, you know, lose weight in 5 days. If you lose 200 pounds in 3 days. Or something like that.
Those commercials really be like that, though. You want to lose 200 pounds without exercising, with eating what you don't
have to change anything. Keep eating that entire cake and pizza, and you'll be skinny. Like, it's ridiculous.
Take this pill.
Yeah, and it's that you know, I want it now and I don't want to have to work for it thing. That's like humankind. Like, as humans, we're fucking lazy. Because if you think about technology now, it's like we don't want to have to travel, so we made the phone. Like, we made cars. We don't want to have to, you know, go up and look outside the door. So there's like a Ring doorbell I can look at on my phone.
And a weather channel.
Because we're lazy as fuck. That's where all these technologies come from. So it's like, that is ingrained in us. So that, you know, is another reason why we shouldn't beat up ourselves about it, but just realizing it.
I think it's just a decision. You have to decide what you want from this experience of life. And I feel like a lot of people don't ask themselves that question. What do you want from this experience? This is your life. You're in this plane where you have consciousness, but then you have subconsciousness, and you are in a physical body, and you can have as much physical pleasures as you like. But there is a spiritual connection that you can obtain if you so decide. You have to decide what you want, honestly, and what type of balance of what you want. Because everyone picture you don't have to pick one or the other, you know, but you have to realize the type of balance you want to create in your life. And everything you do should be towards that balance, or the decision you make of how you want to live this life. If you decide you just want to live in this life and enjoy all the pleasures of the world, and that's where you're at, go do it. Do your thing. Like, you know, I don't think it's good or bad. It's what you decide you want to do with your life. But if you decide you want a higher connection with yourself and you want to live a happier, healthier life, I shouldn't say happier, but if you want to live a healthier life, meaning you want longevity, you want clarity, you want peace within yourself without any outside stimulus, then yeah, you have to start making better decisions for yourself. It's all about the choice. It's about what you want.
So somebody listening to this, right? And they're like, all right, what is the bottom line? What are the top 3 aspects into overcoming this? Like, for real, like, just bullet points. How does somebody?
I don't know, because I haven't even overcome mine. What the fuck I look like telling somebody?
What did you learn from this?
How do you do it?
No, because I mean, it's like, what did you learn? Because we did our.
I wouldn't word it like that. Is the point I'm trying to make. I would say like, I can answer. Well, what would you say to what you just asked?
I assume.
Because that was a bold statement.
Well, yeah, it was basically like, what did you learn? Because this was your topic. So what did you? Okay, let me
rephrase. I can say what I learned.
Let me rephrase that then.
Because you basically asked me, for people out there, what are the things that I can tell them so they can overcome their vices?
Yeah, no, well, I'm sorry. What I meant was like, what can you say that you've learned in this? Like, what would be a process?
I would say
taken away.
The whole point, the takeaway for me is, for my life, I want, like, this is for me personally. Like, I know I want to live a healthier life. I know that I want to nurture my spiritual connection and, my inner peace, which translates to me into freedom, So for my purposes, I would like to overcome a lot of the vices that I'm going through. And I feel like through this conversation, it's helping me understand the reasons why I have the vices that I have. Like, it's not all me. Some of these things are outside of me, but it's up to me to decide how I'm going to live my life. And I feel like that's empowering, like taking that away. Like, it's empowering to just stand in your own and really reflect on like how I got here and how do I want to move forward. I feel like reflection is really a big key in that. But then also action, you got to hold yourself accountable. But from you, I learned that even if I mess up, I shouldn't beat myself up about it, because it's our human nature and that's what we struggle with from day to day. So although I would like to overcome my nature, I have to understand that I will fall, I will make mistakes, but I have to continuously, actively not only hold myself accountable, but be nicer to myself.
Pick yourself up, dust yourself off.
Give myself a hug and hold my hand and say, okay, let's keep moving.
I mean, that would be really weird to do that down the street, but yes, do that emotionally for sure.
I'm going to hold my hand as I walk down the street. And well, it's okay. I got really high one day and I wrote that down. I was like, I wrote, I'm saying to myself, like I wrote that on my phone. I was like, you're fat. It's okay. What? I'm going to hold your hand and we're going to get through this together. It was like me talking to myself. I was like, it's okay.
It started weird, but it ended sweet. I love high trees.
Right. I was like, you're lazy. You don't do shit. But you know what? I still love you, and we're going to get through this together. Hold my hand, and let's go. It's like I'm talking to myself outside of myself. It was kind of trippy, but I was just like, oh, I love you.
We don't need to be our biggest cheerleader. And
that's how I develop my self-love.
your own hand.
By talking to myself, getting high and talking to myself.
I'd say you're only crazy if you're answer, but we just had a conversation and physical contact, so I don't know.
Word. What would be your takeaway?
My takeaway from this, because that's a tough one. It definitely is the human aspect of it, where it does help to know that, okay, everybody has shit that they're trying to change about themselves, behaviors and stuff that they're trying to get rid of. So that's comforting. I don't know. Honestly, this isn't really stuff that I felt like was anything new. For me, it's really just the self-sabotage aspect and the I want better for myself, but then it's like, who's this bitch anyway?
Well, maybe you don't. Have you thought about that?
Maybe I don't want better for myself. All right.
No, real shit. But not in the way that you're saying, though. I mean, like, when you're trying to overcome these vices, maybe you don't want better for yourself in this way or in this place that you're at.
What you talking about, Willis?
That doesn't make sense to you?
I need examples. I'm stupid.
Like, for instance, I have a friend. She went to, she wanted this, like, job, right? Okay. Rewind. I have a friend.
Is it me?
I have a friend, and she wanted to be a midwife. Always wanted to be a midwife. So she transferred to a job. So she left a good job, transferred to another job that was more about postpartum and prepartum, whatever, about maternity and all that stuff. So she switched jobs, on her route to be a midwife, got a job. Went to school for midwifery, all this stuff.
I love that name.
And midwifery. And it was so hard. And she just kept trying and trying and trying. And it just seemed like everything was like in resistance to like her and this goal. And come to find out, when she got on the unit and started working in this environment, she had to realize for herself, like, this is really not what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And when she realized that, and she started doing the total opposite things toward the totally different goal, things got a lot easier for her and a lot lighter for her.
I get that.
Because she kind of like let go of the idea in her head that she needed to do this or she wanted to do this, and against all odds she's going to do this, but she really didn't have as much of a passion for it, and instead she ended up having a passion for something different. And I feel like once you cultivate your right passions, sometimes a lot of the vices you have disappears because you're living in your truth. But if you're not in the stage where you're living in your truth, or if you're not living in your truth, all you're going to be doing is coping. Why wouldn't you cope if you weren't living in your truth?
That's some deep shit right there.
Right. But if you're living in your truth, you have no reason to cope.
Yeah. Oh, it's like Jim Carrey. I love him. That's my husband in another life. Where he said depression is your avatar letting you know it's not happy living the life that you chose.
Right. That's why sometimes we got to listen to the way we're feeling and to the things that are going on around us and our reactions to things. Because if we keep going towards these vices, maybe something in our lives are wrong. Maybe we're not living in the right state. Maybe we don't have the right job. Maybe we're not chasing the passions we want to chase. If life is not exciting you and instead you're in a zone where all you're doing is coping, maybe you're not living in your truth. What bigger of a sign do you have than, your body going for things that are unhealthy for you, even though you know it's unhealthy? That means you're not living the life you would like to live, and maybe you need a change.
And maybe that's my biggest takeaway there is the getting to the root and the intention and listening to those little emotional alarms. Like, hey, put down that Twinkie. Light up that what? Oh, okay. Put that shot glass down. All right, got it. No, yeah. That's okay. That's my answer. Found it.
Answer. Do you have anything to add to my answer for you?
Oh, fine. You get your credit. That's it. Thank you.
Come again. So how would you like to end this one off?
I don't know, because would you like some self-affirming mantras to just reinstate your strength and your confidence over overcoming the situation? Do you want some prayer, some positive thoughts?
You sound like a counselor.
I does this shit, man.
Like, you talking to me like I'm like you're my therapist. How would you like to end our meeting together?
Maybe I should be a therapist. This is fun. How did that make you feel?
I know, right? Well, I have a quote by Aesop. Vices are their own punishment.
Yes. Guilt.
I don't know if that hit me, but okay.
No, yeah, no, I was processing it because, the guilt associated with it and, the actual harm that does. So, yeah.
But I feel like that kind of puts everything we're talking about kind of in perspective, because the feelings we have associated with vices, along with, like we say, you may not be living your truth or whatnot. So it can kind of be opposite too. Like, you are punished in a way where you have vices.
Right, because it's human nature.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
But then Lemmy Clemister said, if you didn't do anything that wasn't good for you, it would be a very dull life. So we also have to remember that our experiences, good or bad, gives us our stories and actually brings light into our lives. That's why everyone has such unique, different, interesting stories, because they've been through shit. Everyone who ends up living an extraordinary life has been through shit. Like, even when I was younger, I used to look up to whoever the fuck I was looking up to at the time. Like,
he was a great man.
To be like, they're so great, they're so this, they're so that. But I've always been a very reflective person, so I used to think like, well, I wonder how they was as a kid. And when I used to go through like my darkest moments, like maybe as like a teenager or a kid, I used to say, you know what, it's okay, because I don't know what that person that I looked up to could have been in the same situation I was in when they were younger. I'm looking at a time warp of them right now. They're not in the present moment. Like, no one's in the present moment I am in right now. And when I look at people, I'm looking at their future. I know that sounds kind of trippy, but
you lost me a little bit, but I think I get what you're saying.
When I look at somebody, I'm looking at the consequences of all the actions that they have done, and also all the things that kind of made them into who they are because of their life tribulations.
Exactly.
So
So what
I'm
they would
looking at
do is
their
whatever
future.
situation
You
you're
know,
in.
when I'm a kid and I'm in a bad space or I'm in a bad time and I'm looking at somebody older than me, I'm looking at future,
Yeah, I get that.
you know, and who's to know what my future looks like because I'm not there yet. So all these experiences, you know, I take with me is going to be the foundations of the rest of my life. So we got to make it strong and we got to try to make it as healthy as possible.
It's all a part of the journey. Everybody has their own, sorry, their own experiences and stuff that they have to deal with, and it's how you cope with them.
Right.
I like, Lysander Spooner wrote, "Vices are simply the errors which a man makes in his search after his own happiness." That's from
Yeah, it's
a
true.
book or an article titled "Vices Are Not Crimes." So I feel like that just lends towards the, it's all something that we have to deal with and cope with. It's really how you react to the situation.
Right. Striving towards greatness.
Yeah, man.
You're going to fall a couple times, but just
Hold
pick
your
yourself
hands.
up and say, it's all right. Oh, we're ridiculous. But yeah, so I hope somebody got something out of this convoluted conversation. We are not experts of anything, professionals of nothing. We're just out here in this world, just trying to figure shit out and trying to just, these conversations, we just like to talk things out just so that, we can find things within ourselves to lead better lives. And we hope that that's what it does for everyone else.
Yeah. Well, that should be our tagline. We just out here, man.
We just out here. It's true. We just out here. We are nothing. We just out here.
We are everything, man.
Okay. We are nothing but everything, man. But we're just out here. This line is going to be mad long by the time we're done with it. Like, just
it's going to be a paragraph.
Words. That's so funny. But I hope everyone goes forth and lives a happy,
fruitful life,
peaceful existence, doing whatever they so please in this plane.
May you identify, cope with, and overcome your vices.
Or not, if that's what you so choose to do.
Or not.
Or not. You decide you just want to live in a primitive mind and just seek self-pleasure. That is your business. Go do you, boo.
Do you, boo.
So, at the end of the day, hope you got something out of this.
Remember, we are experts of nothing, just out here in these streets.
We learn from you just as you learn from us because we are a tribe.
Until next time,
continue to vibe.
Hey.